Hi everyone. I realised yesterday morning at choir there was a certain amount of confusion and, dare I say, lack of remembering how to do Anglican chant. So what I decided to do is to just make a small video. I don't want to just record the music and have you learn it that way. What I'm hoping is that by following this video, you can actually get an understanding of how to follow the words and the music together. It's a really I know it's a really difficult, but it's also a really useful skill to have. So I'll leave you this video and you can watch it back as many times as you need to and work it through with your music. And I hope it will give you a starting point for when we then go through and sing it in choir together. So here we go, my best explanation. So you'll see that I've divided the music up into little sections, which I shall be referring to try and explain what's going on. So here, up to the middle of the music, all of this I'm calling the first half. And then from the bar line in the middle to the end of the line, I'm calling this the second half. And within each of those two halves, I've subdivided the music into first half part A, up to the little double bar line, and then first half part B in here. And for the second half, the beginning of the second half through to the double bar line, I've called part C, and then the last section of the music, second half part D. Now, let me try and show you what's going on. So down here on the words, we've got the first verse here. All of the other verses are numbered. This hasn't got number 1 next to it, but hopefully it's self-explanatory that it's the first verse. So here it is. Now, everything at the beginning, up to this little line here, this bar line, all of these words, my soul doth magnify, all of those are sung on the note here in the first bar. So, my soul doth magnify. Then this little bar line here represents this bar line. And everything else along the first line, "Fy the Lord," matches onto these notes that come in the rest of part A. That's why I've written an A over here, to show that this line of words, my soul doth magnify the Lord, are the words for this A section of the music. So, my soul doth magnify the Lord. Let me say that again. So everything before the little bar line, all of this belongs here. My soul doth magnify the Lord. And then we move into the second half of the first verse, which is this line of text here, and my spirit hath rejoiced in God my Saviour. And I'm calling this first half part B. So everything along this line matches onto the B part of the music here. So remember that the beginning of the line of the text up to the little bar line, so and my spirit hath rejoiced in, all of those words are sung on the note at the beginning of the section here. So everything in this bar is sung with the words, and my spirit hath rejoiced in. Then this bar line represents the end of the first bar of the section, and all of the remaining notes in here, all of these 3 bars, provide the music for the rest of the line of text, God my Saviour. Now, you might be looking and thinking, hold on a minute, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes here, and only 3 words. And I agree, that seems complicated. So what we do is we slur some of the notes together. So, God my Saviour. And the only way you can tell how to do that is by me telling you in the rehearsal. So I've marked it here with little slurs to show God my Saviour. But things like that we can talk about as we go through in rehearsing. So let me recap verse 1. Here it is, while I show you how it goes with my pencil on the music. My soul doth magnify the Lord, and my spirit hath rejoiced in God my Saviour. Now, the second half of the music here belongs to verse 2. And it works in exactly the same way. Everything before this little bar line, it's only one tiny word here, but it could be any amount of text. So everything that's before the little bar line is sung on the notes in this first bar of the section. So we have the word for, sung here, for, and then after we pass the bar line, everything else, he hath regarded. All of these words fit in the rest of, well, I've called it section C for this line. So he hath regarded. So for he hath regarded. Then we come into the last part of the chant after the double bar, which I'm calling section D. Here are the words for section D on the second half of the second verse. And remember, everything up to the little bar line belongs on the first beat here. So the lowliness, and then everything else after the bar line matches the rest of the music. So of his and maiden. And again, the only way you can really know about how this slur is going to work is by us deciding it in the rehearsal and me explaining what to do. So just let me run verse 2 again for you, following on the music. For he hath regarded the lowliness of his and maiden. And that principle of verse 1, verse 2 carries on. So when we come to verse 3, here's the text for it, verse 3, and it matches the first half of the music. So parts A and B here. So, and we're following the same principle of everything before the little bar line is here, and everything after the little bar line goes on the rest of the music. So, for behold, from henceforth all generations shall call me blessed. Then as we come into the second half of the chant, we move into verse 4. For he that is mighty hath magnified me, and holy is his name. I hope that's all clear. It might take several watches to drill it into your mind, but that's the idea of how it works. And basically that pattern continues through the rest of the Magnificat, except, there's always something, isn't there, except sneakily in verse 5, they've made a little change. This is so that the rest of the psalm has the right amount of music for it. So when we get to verse 5, instead of going back to the first half, back to the beginning, we're going to go back to the beginning of the second half of the music. So here at point C, and sing. And his mercy is on them that fear him throughout all generations. And then we carry on as normal from there. So for verse 6, we go back to the beginning of the music for the first half, verse 7, the second half, verse 8, the first half, verse 9, the second half, and then the first and second halves for each bit of the Gloria. Okay, I hope that's as clear as mud and not totally confusing. I've done my best to be clear. Obviously, if you've got any follow-up questions about it, ask me at choir or send me an email if you think you can possibly explain what's causing the problem. But I hope, as I say, I hope it's given you a starting point for accessing the Magnificat, and know that the principle of what I've said there applies for all Anglican chant. The way it's printed on the page changes a bit, but the general principle of how it works is what I've just described there. So I hope that gives you something to go on. Have a good watch and see what you can follow on your music, see what you can work out. Okay, good luck. Bye now.